Hello there. Welcome to Live with the Paper Pixie, episode 273. Tonight is Wednesday, February 22nd. I'm Julie DiMatteo, the Paper Pixie, coming to you live from Alpharetta, Georgia. Excuse my voice, I am getting over a nasty cold. Thank goodness it was not COVID or strep or anything like that, but my time was due. I haven't been sick in a while. I hope you all are having a wonderful and blessed week. If you're watching live, say hello and where you're watching from. And a special hello to my replay warriors. If you are new here, tell us in the chat and our wonderful community will welcome you. In tonight's live stream, I'm going to demonstrate two projects from start to finish. We're going to do a triple panel card. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for making multiples for this. And then a little squash box. I've done one of these, many moons ago. It was much smaller. It was with Emerald Envy, and it was sort of a double, a patterned paper and cardstock. Love, love, love this. So super fun and cute. Let's see, I've got a couple of things here. Brian, really quickly, say hello. My husband Brian is watching your questions and comments tonight. If you do have a question, please put a Q colon in front of that question. That will help me queue your questions for the end of the live stream. That way I can focus on tonight's projects from start to finish. I'm staying on as long as my voice will hang on with me, hopefully till the end of all your questions. So let's see. When you shop with me, you earn Pixie Perks on orders of $25 or more. That's my loyalty program. And if you receive 10 Pixie Perks stars, you earn a Pixie Perks reward, which is a free stamp set of your choice. We are also in the midst of celebration, and we only have less than a week away. Next Tuesday is the last day of celebration. Celebration is an opportunity to earn free products with purchases of $50 or $100. Stampin' Up! Added an additional, I think it was 10 new items, maybe 9, a couple of weeks ago. So there's new choices to choose from if you already have everything that you need. And the starter kit special ends next Tuesday as well. That is you have two options, $175 in product for either option, but you can also get this mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in either boho blue or basic white. I guess it's basic white, it's white, for $129. So $175 in product plus the mini machine, that's $129, or you can choose the option for just the $175 in product for $99. So again, that ends next Tuesday. Stampin' Up! Also updated the clearance rack on Tuesday with stamp sets, which they don't usually do, but they did have a surplus of inventory in the warehouse. I think last I counted there were 16 or 17 English stamp sets that are on the clearance rack. That is a great way to maximize your value and get some stamp sets that might be on your wish list still. So I do have show and tell from the kids. That's my join link, by the way, thepaperpixie.com/join if you're interested in taking advantage of the amazing Celebration starter kit. So really quickly, here are tonight's projects, a cute little squash box. This is a bigger version. I think the one that I had created many years ago was 1.5 by 1.5. I can't remember now. And then this is a great triple panel card. So I do have something from Lily this week. The kids had a long 4-day weekend for President's Day, so she got down and busy with Draw So Cute, which is, I think I've shared her video before, and she was asking for it to show what she wanted to see the drinks. Credit to Draw So Cute for her awesome tutorial. I think Lily listens to my live streams very often. And then that is summer and spring drinks, so a slushy, milkshake, and lemonade. I just saw this little cute little face peeking out from the side. Lily's our 4th grader, and these are fall winter drinks. Hot Starbucks drink, of course, Starbucks, hot cocoa, and coffee. Oh, it says, "I heart you, Dad." That's so cute. I think she knew you were going to be watching. And then it says, update, new drinks dropping today. Oh, I love her imagination. So yeah, that's from Lily. I'm going to hand that to you. And then Nolan has built a Halloween Lego scene for us. I asked him if he was messing with me because I hate spiders. And there's 3 spiders that I can see on this. Maybe there's more. I spot 3. There's a spider web and bats, and he had a lot of fun. Some skeletons, pumpkins, I don't know, a little scary teddy bear right there. So Nolan is our first grader and he is Lego obsessed. So that is fun. You got room down there? Thank you. I'm remembering to move that off the screen. Why don't we go ahead and jump into tonight's projects? I'm going to start with the three-dimensional one. I do have credit on my blog from the original German demonstrator that I got the idea from for this. And I know there's another demonstrator, I want to say in the UK, and I apologize, I can't think of her name. She shared this project as well before. So lots of folks that inspired me for this little squash box or dome box. This one is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So it's a good size box to throw, I don't know, a handful of Hershey's Kisses in there, Hershey's Nuggets. This would probably be cute for maybe like a really thin scarf. You could probably ball up in there, maybe a pair of thin socks. Really cool and interesting, and it's really not that difficult to create. So we're going to start with that. This is the awesome Flowers and More Designer Series paper, which may have been hidden to your eyes, but it is the host paper in the mini catalog. This is a free with $150 purchase paper, but use any paper that you have in your stash if you're not planning to place an order that large. I do want to mention this is a mega pack of paper. You get 30 sheets of 12 by 12. So I love that because it's about a $30 value of paper and you can get it for $18 in Stampin' Rewards. So this paper measures 6 inches by 10.5 inches. So you have a little bit extra, 1.5 inches on the side here left over, but you can get 2 of these out of a sheet of 12 by 12. I'm gonna bring in my Simply Scored here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and score. We're on the long side here. Let me switch to my right notes here. We're gonna score at 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. Okay, so 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. That's every 2.5 inches. I'm going to rotate it clockwise, and we're going to score this at 2.5 again. I'm going to bring it back counterclockwise, back to where we started, and I'm going to bring in a ruler for this. A couple of different ways you could do this. You could cut a template of cardstock. You know, you could do like a 10.5 inch strip of cardstock if you want. But I'm bringing in my 2-inch ruler. Now this is listed on my favorites page. It's a twofer. You get a pack of 2 rulers, a 6-inch ruler and a 12-inch ruler, and I love these so much. I want to go ahead and line up my ruler here, and I'm going to tilt this up so I can see it better, to 1.5 inches. So I'm just bringing my ruler down. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm kind of using that flat edge there, but bringing it down to 1.5 inches because the next score lines we're going to make, we're going to stop at the 1.5 inch mark, but we don't want to do a vertical score line here. I'm kind of eyeballing it. It didn't look straight to me. All right, so we're going to go ahead and score. This is going to be at 1.25, and then it'll stop right at our ruler there. 3 3/4. 6 1/4, and 8 3/4. Okay, so again, we just lined up our ruler horizontally at the 1.5 inch mark, and we scored at 1.25, 3 3/4, 6 1/4, and 8 3/4. That's every 2.5 inches, but we started at 1.25 inches. It's the halfway mark in between our 2.5 inch full vertical score lines there. I'm going to flip this over so you can kind of see those short score lines. And actually, for this next step with diagonal score lines, it's easier to do it from the back side because this paper is so busy, it's kind of hard to see where those score lines stop. Okay, so hang on to your stylus or grab your stylus from the Simply Scored. For this, I'm going to bring in my smaller 6-inch ruler. I have a little bit more control with it. Again, I'm going to flip this over. Let me show you the template. This will make more sense if you can see this visually here. So we have done our 1.5 inch score lines coming down here and stopping, again, at that 1.5 inch point. And then we're going to go ahead and diagonally score, basically connecting the bottom of those 1.5 inch short score lines up to the intersection of the long score line. So we're just going to kind of zigzag like so, just kind of flipping your ruler as you go. Put that just right up there. And pardon my head, I want to try to get the glare here of the lights out of my way. When I do these diagonal score lines, I like to start the stylus at the bottom of the score line, then bring my ruler to it, so that leaves space for the ball tip of the stylus. And then I leave a little bit of space when I line that up with that vertical score line. So let me show you those first two. They look like that. Okay, then you're just going to work your way down and do that a total of 4 times. So 4 V's is basically what we're creating here, and that's going to give us that really cool sort of squash feature to this treat box or gift box. The one I created many moons ago was a St. Patrick's Day version. Brian, you actually might be able to pull that one up. But the search term I had to use was Emerald Envy. And if it's easier for you, you can kind of score all in the one direction and then go back and do the other direction. Y'all are so sweet. Thank you. I miss you guys. And thank you to all of you who shared your cold remedies. I'm pretty sure I tried them all. The only one I didn't try, I think, was somebody recommended pickles for a sore throat. Yeah, that's the one. Anyways, that's the only one I didn't try. But part of why I canceled last week's live stream is I was actually preparing to go on a trip to Phoenix. I just got back from Phoenix and was there for a mastermind retreat. I'm like, oh no, I don't have time to be sick. So luckily I tested, no COVID, no strep before I went, but I had a great retreat. So a little sidebar there. But there we've got our diagonal score lines. Okay. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this out here, but I'm going to push it off to the side for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish on all the score lines that go all the way across the paper. So don't worry about your diagonal score lines just yet. I'll show you a trick to doing that. So just work your way down to those score lines that go all the way across. So yeah, I made the call last week. I'm like, oh, I got to do everything I can so I can go on this trip. I'd been planning to attend that mastermind retreat for about 4 months. So, oof, I'm glad I didn't miss it. It was wonderful. All right, so I've folded and burnished on all the score lines. Then where those diagonal score lines are, I'm kind of taking my finger. Let me show you what I'm doing here on the template. Kind of placing it right there where that straight score line is and using my thumb and middle finger behind it to kind of pinch. And that will get the cardstock or the paper to go where you want it to go. And again, we are only going to the bottom of that V, but you can kind of just pinch right along it and just kind of tell the paper who's boss, right? So we're going to do that and just work our way down again. Index finger along that straight score line and pinching from behind. Doing this ahead of time will make this go together much easier. There we go. And again, I'm not pinching too hard because I want to kind of keep this sloped or dome shape that's happening here. And then we'll do that one more time. Like so. Okay, so that's kind of, we've trained the paper to where we want it to go. Now what we're going to do is go ahead with those sort of V shapes along the top. I'm going to go ahead and cut up each of the vertical score lines, but stop at that first horizontal score line. So get your paper snips out. And I know these panels look huge. We're going to trim away some of the bulk here in a minute. This works with cardstock as well, if you prefer to use cardstock. And then this little rectangular piece, we're just going to go ahead and remove that. And I'm also going to miter cut. And when I say miter cut, I just kind of cut that at a bit of an angle there. And then I'm going to do a quick miter cut here at the top of that little 1/2-inch tab. This is the tab right along the side here we're working on. So now we've got these 4 bottom panels, and I actually don't need all the extra bulk. You can, it's not a big deal if you want to just fold it all in, that's totally fine. I do like to remove some bulk. So I just need to pay attention. I want to fold back. If I turn it this way, the second and fourth, I don't want to trim. So I've got my little tab here at the top. I'm folding back the second and fourth here. I can just hand cut those or just eyeball it. Or if you'd like, you can come in with your paper trimmer. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna fold this little tab guy out of the way. I'm gonna line up this right edge at 1 1/4. That's the halfway mark of these tabs down at the bottom. And just trim away some of that bulk. So you got these pieces you can save for another project. And the last thing we need to do is just miter cut these 2 tabs. So again, I'm going to fold those big guys out of the way and just come in and angle cut or miter cut those tabs so they don't get in our way. I love this paper. The daisy punch would be so cute with it. You'll find this in the very back of the mini catalog. Let me show you real quickly. Since I happen to have this one by me. Literally, this is the back page. And it's kind of hiding here along the top. But these bright, bold colors I absolutely love. And how cute are these Ghirardelli holders too. So again, Flowers and More, you get, 48 sheets. I don't know why I said 30 sheets. It's a $30 value, 48 sheets of 12 by 12 for each of 12 double-sided designs. Super cute. All right, so the only thing we have left to do is to punch holes, but I'm actually just gonna go ahead and punch those after we start to put our box together, okay? But I did mark those on the template here. All right. Thank you. So next, what I'm going to do is flip this over, and I'm going to fold on the second score line from the left and grab my liquid glue here. I'm just going to put liquid glue right along this 1/2 inch tab. Then I'm going to fold on the first score line from the right. Those should line right up. I'm going to give that a second to adhere because we do want to reinforce one of these folds where that little 1/2 inch tab is. Will help this go together. So I'm going to show you on the inside. We've got that little 1/2 inch tab, and that's kind of covering right at that angle. So just come in and do your trick again here, but we want to make sure that we're folding on that diagonal score line where that 1/2 inch tab is. Okay, so just give that a little bit of a squeeze there, like so. Okay. Now, ultimately, this is how this guy's going to go together, but we'll do that in just a minute. Next, I'm going to grab my 1/8 of an inch circle punch. And again, this is retired from Stampin' Up, but it's a normal circle punch. And we're going to go ahead and punch holes, not where the V's are, but right here on the corners of this box. If we're looking at this like a square box here, we're going to punch those holes sort of inside the V here. That is not the one tucking into the box. So let me show you. These are the ones that are kind of folding in here, and we're doing that right on the corner. I'm about 1/4 of an inch in. And I'm just going to work my way around to each of those box sides and punch a hole right on that seam or the score line. Like so, and you're going to do that 4 times. You can do it either now or before you put the box together, like that, okay? Now we're going to focus on gluing the bottom together. I'm looking for my seam here. All right, so that is my seam. This then, here's my seam. This is the back of the box. I'm going to fold these out of the way. Look how pretty the inside of this one is too. So we remove the bulk so those 2 tabs don't overlap. I'm just going to take liquid glue, put it on each of those tabs, and then the front panel here. Don't need to worry about the back panel because it's going to stick to the tabs. I'm going to go ahead and fold. Yes, we are still live, Amy. We've been live for about 20 minutes. So the tabs folded in, then the back flap, and then the front flap here. And I'm just squaring up those corners and edges. I'm gonna come in with my glue bottle and just press from the inside, like so. I'm gonna leave it up to your imagination for what you might wanna put in this box. One recommendation I'll have, since this is designer series paper, I'm just kind of pushing out those sides here, just a little bit, because it'll have a tendency to want for those sides to kind of pop in. And I'm just putting my fingers on those corners and folding it in like so. And how cool is the profile of this little smash box? Is that what I called it on my tutorial? I think I called it a smash box. That's what it reminds me of. Squash box, thank you. Squash box. All right, so I'm gonna grab, finally got a new roll of the white crinkled seam binding ribbon. And again, let's focus on where our seam is. So this is the back of the box here. My seam is right here on the back right. I'm gonna come in here on the front right. I'm gonna go, the ribbon is coming from the outside to the inside. Make sure you trim your ribbon at an angle. If you're still having trouble with this pushing through, just grab your stylus from your Simply Scored or your Take Your Pick tool, and that'll help you push the ribbon through. Then the next adjacent hole, I'm gonna go from the inside of the box to the outside. Okay, so outside to inside, inside to outside. This next one, I'm gonna feed kind of around the outside of the box and into the back left. And then we're gonna come back through the front left. I'll show you up close in just a minute. Okay, so you can see here that we've got it going in the front right, out the back right, in the back left, and then out the front left. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just gonna go ahead and pinch, and then we can pull. And just kind of pay attention to your tail here. You don't want it to be too long, and then you can pull from the other side that's on the spool, okay? So right now I'm gonna go ahead and tie a little half knot. And if you need to, you can use your reverse tweezers, but this actually holds pretty well, this crinkled seam binding ribbon. I don't want to tie that too tight because then your paper's going to start to tear, but we're just going to tie this in a bow. Feels a little bit like stringing shoelaces when you go zigzagging in and out of those holes, doesn't it? The seam binding ribbon is so easy to work with and goes well with so many projects. I just love the white with this beautiful paper. Go ahead and trim the tails. And because this box is so cool and interesting, I wanted to just add a very simple sentiment, and to save some time tonight, because I wasn't sure about my voice, I already did the stamping and die cutting, but I'm doing a sneak peek of a new stamp set that will be available for purchase starting on March 1st. You can actually add it to a starter kit now. There's a whole sort of collection of products. But I love the stamp set and the sentiments in the font. It's called Irresistible Blooms. There's going to be a number of online exclusive products if you haven't heard about them yet, but love this stamp set. So I stamped Hooray, It's Your Day, and then I've die cut it using the Stylish Shapes dies and the larger of these two smaller kind of banner pieces. I stamped it in, wait, what is it called? Sweet Sorbet. I keep wanting to call that Strawberry Slush. I've got old colors in my brain. So Sweet Sorbet, and that is then die cut with that Stylish Shapes. Isn't that perfect? I love that font. So I'm just going to grab a pair of dimensionals for this. And then we're just going to pop that right on the front of our squash box here. And be gentle as you're sticking those dimensionals down, because the box does want to stick in. But there we go. That's so cute. Oh, that paper makes everything. Specialty paper would be beautiful with this as well, with some foils throughout. But really, that box, oh, it's so cute. It kind of reminds me of a hat too, like the Pope's hat. It's kind of, or like a king's. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like a crown, kind of. Really, really cool box. So that is our 3D project for tonight, and it is easier than it looks, isn't it? Love that. All right, so moving on to our triple panel card. Here's the sample again. This is a great one to use your scraps of designer series paper. Now I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks. We're going to actually create fairly easily 3 cards, and actually we're going to create one tonight to save some time, and I'm going to show you the 3 different versions. So we've got 3 panels here, and you just want to pick a pack of coordinating designer series paper and 3 patterns that you love. You can also switch this up if you want to do a panel of dry embossing or something along those lines. So I have picked 3 pieces from the Flowers and More, that the Host paper that you can get with a $150 order. And these 3 pieces, let me switch to my measurements here. These 3 pieces measure 3.5 by 4 5/8, and I'm actually going to stack these. Now, they aren't really directional patterns. If they were directional, actually, depending on how you want to do this, I would tend to pick non-directional patterns if you can, but you can still do directional if you like as well. So 3.5 by 4 5/8, and I'm just going to stack those, and we're going to cut all 3 at once on the paper trimmer. You're just going to have one little bit of excess from doing this, and that's just because of the fact that it is a triple panel and the way that the layout is. So I've got this in portrait. I'm going to turn it to landscape, and I'm going to cut a strip to 1 3/4. Okay, so I'm making sure those are stacked, lining up that left edge to 1 3/4, and then I'm going to cut and kind of go back and forth to make sure those pieces are all cut through. So I've got 3 pieces all ready to go. I'm going to just lay it off here to the side. Now, we had turned it this way. We're going to turn it back this way. And I'm going to cut again at 1 3/4. Okay, so let me just make sure that that's clear. We turned it into landscape, and we cut an 1 3/4 strip off the left. Then I'm going to turn this counterclockwise. Again, these are still stacked, and I'm going to cut 1 3/4 again. Okay. Then this last piece, we're actually going to remove 1/8 inch to 1 5/8, and that's just to make sure that we've got 1/8 inch of space around all 3 panels. So I'm lining that up to 1 5/8. I'm just going to cut off 1/8 inch strip here, and that can just go in your trash, unless you use scraps that size, but I don't. Like so. So then what we have is, we can just kind of lay these out. And you can just kind of pick and choose. Let's do this guy, and that guy. And then you've got 3 cards ready to go for this triple panel card. How fun is that? Okay, so we're just going to do one of these. I'm going to make sure I have all my pieces because I will make the rest of these after the live stream tonight. I'm going to grab a piece of the Sweet Sorbet just to show you how I can get 2 of these out of a full sheet of cardstock. And then we're going to go ahead and score on the long side at 5.5 inches. Then I'm going to cut on the short side at 4 1/4. And then what we've got are 2 pieces that are already cut and scored. I'm going to keep one of those. Let's see, there's one panel. and another one. All right, so this piece, this one measures 4 by 5 1/4, and this is the piece that I'll use to line the inside of my card. We are going to stamp on that. I've got a second piece. This is 3 3/4 by 5, and this is what we're going to glue our panel pieces to. So first, to kind of get this out of our way, we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish on the score line for our card base. Kind of put that off to the side here. And then again, I've got our 3 3/4 by 5 piece and our 3 panel pieces. So liquid glue is your friend here. I'm going to start with that bottom section. As you can see, there's 1/8 of an inch of spacing around the edges. Like that. Just kind of start to build it slowly, but just paying attention to that 1/8 of an inch border. Now these are just off by 1/8 of an inch, so I like to take the bigger piece, which is the 1 3/4 inches wide, and put that one here on the top left. I like to kind of turn it sideways. I don't know, it's easier for me to line up landscape pieces for some reason. So again, just paying attention to that 1/8 of an inch around all the sides. And then our final piece here, which I love this pattern too. That would have been cute on the back as well. We'll stick with the green. The parakeet party. Nice pops of color here. Like that. Okay. And that white card base, or that white layer, really makes this pop. We're going to just go ahead and adhere that to the front of our card. There we go. And then for the inside, might as well leave my glue out here. I'm going to stamp the sentiment. I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. I love that, the thank you paired with that. We're going to stamp this in the beautiful starry sky. Make sure this is not upside down. There we go. There we go. Sweet sentiment for the inside. Some centrifugal force here. And this is going to lay on the inside. And again, there I go with the landscape. Just easier to line it up. All right, so inside is done. One last thing for the outside, again, to save some time. I have stamped and die cut the sentiment, thank you. This is from Stylish Shapes, and this is from our layering circles. This one is the, I think it's the 2 1/8 inch, yep, 2 1/8 inch in diameter. And this one is 1 7/8 of an inch. So those nestle together really well. Show you one more time. Irresistible Blooms, coming March 1st as an online exclusive. Stylish Shapes, I did the 2 1/8 inch circle. And then layering circles, I did the 1 7/8 inch circle. So we're just going to go ahead and adhere these two together. I love that little pop of stitching around the Sweet Sorbet piece. Again, that is Starry Sky. Get my mess out of the way here. And I'm just going to grab, you can never have too many dimensionals, right? So we'll do 4 on the back. Great for sending through the mail. We're going to pop that up. Now remember, this panel is just a little bit wider, so it's totally up to you. You could center this or have it just a little bit to the right so that that runs through the center and this runs through the center. And then I think it needed a little bit of bling. So I'm at the tail end of this pack of rhinestones here, but grab my take your pick tool and the putty end. I'm just going to pick up a rhinestone and pop it right there next to thank you. And there we have our triple panel card. Let me show you what it looks like with the different pieces that we cut out. I think these are different. Yeah, there we go. Got your 3 different versions. They all look slightly different just by mixing. Well, see, that one's a little bit different. Hold on. Here we go. Is that different? Oh, I kind of mixed up the last time. Well, I'm just going to keep showing you. You got a whole bunch of different options here. Go ahead and pick 3 of your favorite patterns from a coordinating pack of paper and have at it and make some great triple panel cards. Quick and easy for making multiples. I will have project sheets for both of these projects linked in the description tomorrow. I do like to wait until after the live stream. Well, for 2 reasons. 1, I'm not usually ready with the project sheets, but 2, in case there's any measurements that I need to tweak as I make these live with you, that gives me an extra chance to do so. So you'll find those in the description of this YouTube video that you'll find beneath the video. Sometimes you need to click the words more and more again, and you'll see my full video description. And for those of you watching on TV, you probably need to look at a computer or mobile device in order to see the description. So let's go ahead and jump into tonight's Q&A. Let me get that teed up here. My voice is still hanging on. All right. Oh, Pam, thank you. Yes, Nolan is doing better. Let's see. I don't know, you'd never know that his rib was fractured. He's just so resilient and he's healing, and that's all good. So they had a slumber party with their cousins this weekend. They had a really good time. When I picked him up Sunday on my way back from the airport, he was all sweaty and full of curls. But yeah, he's doing really well. Thank you. Great question, Brooke. So I am part of a coaching group with Brenda Sturr, and she hosted 40 business builders, half of us in direct sales, half of us not in direct sales, at her home for 2 full days talking about marketing and branding and a business plan and all kinds of wonderful sort of thought-provoking things. I had a wonderful time meeting with other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators and those with other direct sales companies. It was a wonderful weekend despite having a cold, but it was great. Lots of great memories, full of smiles, full of ideas. Really just an opportunity for us to kind of put our minds together and plan and learn new things. It was a good time. Oh, I got you, Snow Shadow. That's the same question. Got that. Let's see. The Easter Bunny Punch will not be back in stock before Easter, Loretta. Unfortunately, it is out of stock, and Stampin' Up! Can't get it in stock before the week of May 15th. I don't remember the date of Easter, but I know that that is after Easter. So I think that the Easter Bunny Punch, I'm predicting it's either carrying over, going to be a carryover product, or we may see it in the upcoming annual catalog. I think because we're seeing it come back the week of May 15th, which is after the end of the mini catalog, that's either a carryover, sort of out of publication carryover, or it will be in the annual catalog. But yeah, unfortunately, not before Easter. Y'all loved it too much, but that's a good thing. Does the cost of clearance items count towards the Celebration free things as long as you meet the $50, $100 levels? Yes, it sure does, Christina. That's a great question. So it would be based on the price. So it would be the discounted price on the clearance rack, but that will help you get to the $50 or $100 threshold. So yes, any items available in the online store, whether they're clearance or not, will count towards your Celebration total. Great question. Ooh, Linda, will a cupcake fit like a Hostess one that's pre-packaged? That is a great question. I think it's going to be one of those things you might have to try. Now, with the sort of physics of the box, As you know, it is sort of a squash box, so some of the edges fold down in, but I think you might be able to get one of those Hostess cupcakes. The issue you might run into is the packaging. Like if it's got a lot of air in it, it might cause you a problem to fit in this box, but I don't know. That would be really cute if it fit. If I happen to figure that out, I will let you all know. But yeah, absolutely. Give it a try and see if that fits and let me know. I'd love to hear. The stamp set, it is Irresistible Blooms. Again, this is going to be an online exclusive, available starting March 1st to everyone. If you want it now, you can add it to a starter kit because we're currently in demonstrator pre-order period for this and other products. There's another stamp set and some beautiful papers and embellishments that we can get our hands on as demonstrators now. They can be added to a starter kit or they'll be available online only, so they won't be in any catalog on March 1st. So that's next Wednesday. We'll talk about it again next Wednesday. That's right, we don't have more celebration before my next live stream. Oh, great suggestion, Cliffy. Need more glue, remove the larger lid for a second. It gives it some air. Amazing how much more glue you have. I do that several times, just keeps on giving. Oh, I love our multi-purpose liquid glue. I tend to use centrifugal force, but that is a great suggestion to get some airflow in there. But you can really get some glue out of those bottles. So when you think it's empty, keep going because you'll get more. Such a great economical purchase as well. Wink of Stella comes in at least 9 other colors. Is Stampin' Up! Going to carry those colors? Great question. I do not know the answer to that. We did carry the gold one for a little while. Right now we just have the basic, it's not really silver per se. It's the one that gives that really pretty sparkle without the silver. It's not I know there's a silver one. It's not that one. I think it's more white sparkly. I'm sure there's a name for it that I'm not coming up with, but I don't know. That's a great question. And for anyone that is a demonstrator, if you're interested in seeing other colors of Wink of Stella, don't forget to use the suggestion box. How to get your color page. Logan, I'm not sure about your question. I'm not sure if you're asking about my project sheet or something else. So if you can clarify your question, put a Q in front of it and let me know. I'd love to answer it for you. How long have I used Stampin' Up? So this year, I've been a demonstrator in total for 13 years, and that is just about as long as I have been using Stampin' Up. When I found Stampin' Up, it was because I had fallen head over heels for heat embossing, and I wanted to do it the best way possible. And so doing research, I found that Stampin' Up! Had the Embossing Buddy. That was a really great tool for heat embossing. That is the only thing I've ever purchased as a customer. That was probably in January of 2010. And then my amazing demonstrator, Tina, in Chicago, sent me a catalog for that one tiny little purchase. I dog-eared just about every page. And then I think it was February 25th of 2010, I joined Stampin' Up! For the discount because I had such a long wish list. But yeah, I've been using and loving Stampin' Up! Products for the last 13 years.
Is it hard to get the color sheet?
Okay, I'm not sure. Donna Rose, Wink of Stella is a... Well, let me see if I can find mine. Yes. Okay, so the Wink of Stella we sell is called Clear. That's what it is. So let me go ahead and let's come back to this. And I want to show you. Just going to grab the strawberry slush here. I haven't used mine in a while, but it is a beautiful pen if you haven't tried it. It's alcohol based. Now this is going to look darker going on. Let me get some more squeeze down in the barrel here. You squeeze where it says push, and it's just like a water painter, but instead it's already preloaded with like an alcohol solution. Well, now I did way too much. That's going to tell you that don't do what Julie did. But just to give you an idea, it's kind of this clear, sparkly. This is really what it would look like. I squeezed it way too much. Live stream faux pas here. But it looks beautiful as just a little touch of glitter to your project. And as that alcohol dries, that won't be quite as dark. But it is just a beautiful pen to kind of give a touch of sparkle to designer series paper, to stamped images. Some people will sort of watercolor with this by picking up ink and brushing that on their project. So it's a really cool pen. We sell that with Stampin' Up. Great suggestion. All right, let's go back to Q&A. Wink of Stella is always blotchy. Am I using it wrong? Sometimes it depends on how you get the flow of the Wink of Stella. So I would recommend sort of on a scrap piece of paper, Elle Palmer, or you could even brush it onto one of your clear blocks to kind of sort of as like a little bit of a palette if you're getting it kind of blotchy. It is also possible. I'm at the tail end of this Wink of Stella, and as you saw, I squeezed it too hard because it was getting to the bottom, and I got some big blobs on my paper. But the other thing you do is add a little bit more alcohol to the Wink of Stella. That will make your Wink of Stella pen last a little bit longer. Won't be quite as sparkly as it first was with its original formula, but if you add a little bit of alcohol to it, you can get your Wink of Stella pens to last a little bit longer. And they're real easy to open and add drops of alcohol to the barrel. Logan, maybe you're asking about...
I asked them to give me some more in here.
Okay, and you may be asking about my Stampin' Blends labels, maybe, but I'm not sure. So keep me posted. I will read through the comments too after the live stream because that was the last question that's popped up. And also, Logan, feel free to shoot me an email, support@thepaperpixie.com. I'd be happy to take that offline and make sure we understand your question. Okay. All right, we have reached the end of the questions. How to get the sign up probably. So the easiest way to join Stampin' Up! And purchase the starter kit is to go to my join link, which is thepaperpixie.com/join. And that will give you the screens to step through to choose the items you'd like to add to your starter kit as well. All right, great question. Feel free to send me an email as well if you want to talk a little bit in more detail about that. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. If you enjoyed tonight's projects and got a great tip or two, we'd love if you'd subscribe to us here on the channel. Like this video, give us a thumbs up. That helps us here on YouTube. I will be live again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be Wednesday, March 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for episode 274. And don't forget, all you need are stamps, ink, and a little paper pixie. Have a wonderful and blessed week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. Bye.